5 a.m., I'm up with a crisp Celsius energy drink. Running 12 miles today. Grab a green juice, quick change, and head to work. Meetings, workshops. One more Celsius, no slowing down. Working late, but obviously still meeting the girls for a little dancing. Celsius. Live, fit, go. Grab a cold, refreshing Celsius at your local retailer or locate now at Celsius.com.
Nothing brings people together quite like Team USA at the Olympic Winter Games. From NBC Universal's iconic storytelling to the innovative technology across Xfinity and Peacock, Comcast brings the Olympic Games home to America, sharing every moment with millions. When Team USA steps onto the world stage, people aren't just watching, they're cheering together. This winter, everyone is all on the same team. Comcast, proud partner of Team USA.
We've got the blocking rules by position, every position. We've got that blocked against 3 or 4 defenses every single play. Then it goes into the play. This thing is comprehensive, and it feels good for me to get it all in one place. Over the years, there's been so much, and it's neat to get it all in one place.
This is Keith Grabowski, founder and CEO of Coach & Coordinator Network. We've kicked off our series, Slot-T Mafia, with Coach Paul Kilby. The series digs into the history, teaching, and evolution of the Slot-T offense through the coaches who built it and continue to carry it forward. If this conversation sparks more interest in the Slot-T and you're serious about building a clear offensive identity and teaching it with confidence, visit Slot-T.com and join the coaches carrying this offense forward.
Picture this, a curve in the road, a change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
We're back for another episode of the Slot-T Mafia, and maybe Paul should be doing the introduction because he's been hosting these. But today I'm here to join him and talk about some things that we've been doing with the Slot-T Mafia, talk a little bit of Slot-T, and really a lot about learning the game. So Paul, excited to be back here with you. It's been fun to watch these episodes and see everything that's going on in the Slot-T Mafia community.
Yeah, Keith, it's been a lot of fun. Well, I know we're just under 2 months, and it's wild to watch this thing grow. And we're around close to 30 members, and the interaction, the community that's already building has been really neat. Been able to do a couple hours, office hours each week, and guys get on there, and they're just firing out questions from the most basic to complicated and everything in between. And we've done a few Q&A sessions. I'm going to have another one tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely has. It's been fun to step back and watch how people are learning. And it's really, forced me to think a lot about how do we learn in this digital world? What are the best ways? And, one of the things, there is no shortage of content. Now, whether it's good or bad, that's a whole separate discussion. But with anything, when you go out and learn, if you don't have the voices of the people who have lived it with you, you're still in some ways piecing this together. There's always, no matter how deep content can go, there's always questions. There's always maybe some things that aren't quite understood till maybe you hear it explained specifically in a way you can understand it as a coach. But that's what's been fun to watch as I've sat in the Q&As, as I've sat in the office hours, is seeing, in a digital world, really what used to happen when you'd be able to sit down and visit with the staff, because that was always the best way to learn the game. It wasn't going to clinics. Clinics kind of gave you the first part. It was going and visiting with staffs, going to practices, seeing things with the coach walking you through it that really brings it to life and gives you the opportunity to go out and teach it to your players.
Yes, sir. Like you mentioned video content, and there's just so much of it out there, but nothing interactive. I know guys who go and they buy a video on the Slot-T or a couple of them, and they're just left hanging. They get little bits and pieces of it and some basics of it. But as a business partner to me, you really push the community aspect of it. But now I'm seeing it come to life. to see guys from Georgia and Virginia and Maine and Colorado, get on there, and they're so pumped, they're so excited, and they've just got that zeal about them. They want to learn this thing, and to be able to provide the leadership for them has been fun. It's really re-energized me in many ways.
Yeah, I think it's something too, when you go out and do something like this, if you've been successful with something, you're going to get the call, you're going to get the emails. You've done this before, I've done this before, where, you get that just barrage of guys wanting some information, especially like if you've been out to a clinic or something. And as the guy who's sharing that information, you might have that same phone call like 4 or 5 times. Like, yeah, I just talked to Coach so-and-so about this exact thing. And that's where something like this streamlines it for you too. For a guy who's sharing information, sharing these ideas, teaching people this particular offense, this has brought a little bit of sanity to your life too, that, hey, I can bring all these guys together and set up some office hours or Q&As or whatever it might be. And instead of having this same call 4 or 5 times, we're all having it once and maybe even getting deeper into it, because there's a question this guy asks that maybe he wouldn't have thought of if he didn't hear this guy ask a different question.
Yeah, I think the feedback I'm getting is exactly it. You take the range, or I just think of 2 names jumped to my head here that were on office hours yesterday. You got Coach Lee in Georgia, who's at a private school, and he calls it his therapy office hours, being able to pop in for 30 minutes, his weekly therapy. And he's fired up, and he's got to he's got to learn himself, teach a staff, get everybody on board. And that is scratch right there. And then you've got Coach Lawson here in Texas at Wascom High School out by the Louisiana border. He's been running it for close to 10 years now. He was running split back veer at Wascom his first 2 years, but had run it for 10 years previous to that at Joaquin. And he's shifting back to it because I had 36 turnovers this year in 12 games and wants to go back to what he believes in. He came in and they'd had success, so he didn't want to he was on the defensive side, didn't want to rock the boat too much, but he's got his staff on board. But what I'm getting at is tons of experience in the Slot-T. And he's blowing me up all the time, texting things just with, Coach, this is the most comprehensive thing. I can't believe one of you guys from Liberty Hill are doing this and showing that. We always call it the Liberty Hill system. I know they're getting away from it now after 25 incredible years of success, but it's the best way to run this system. And, it's neat to have those guys of totally different range of learning and all in between. We got a guy way out in the peninsula in the northwest corner of the state of Washington playing 8-man football. And he used to coach in Texas, and he's got to adjust it to 8-man things. But it's been really neat for me to see this different range of guys and to be able to help them all, to be able to help the guy who's just learning and then talk high-level stuff with a guy who's run it for 10 years. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great group of people to just talk to. I've had fun both sitting in the background and talking with these guys, chatting with these guys as we've been getting ready to kick a Q&A off or an office hours off. And it's fun to meet those people from across the country and then get the discussion going and really dig into it with the stuff specific to the Slot-T. And I think it's helped you as the guy who's putting this together too. We started and we had the series videos and we had basically the whiteboard, and then we had voiced over game film. And then, the discussion was, boy, we should do a video on this or that. And so that's expanded it. And we've just had a big release too of practice film, which we had planned on, but we said we would bring it out in March as people are getting closer to, some people at least doing spring ball and getting ready to get this out on the field. And even with those, brought up other ideas. So, it helps with, I said, content's easy to get, but at the same time, it's helped you create some content that you can share with all these guys that's going to be of further value to them.
Amen. Yeah, I'm feeling like the greatest feedback so far has been on the practice film that we just released a couple days ago. Guys were saying, you and I knew we had it coming, and we had the concept of this idea almost a year ago now to have, leaving Liberty Hill last year, putting it in brand new at a smaller school, Blanco, this year, gives such a unique perspective for guys. It wasn't just, okay, here it is, where the place where it's been run for 25 years, just an absolute machine, to going into a place that was running the spread the year before and to put it in. So, and to have so much practice film and broken down into, blocking progression, cage, sled, trap drill, sweep drill, power, pass, team. When do we huddle? When do we not? Exactly how we go about everything, and to have the voiceovers and talking through SLED and what we're doing. And I think it's so comprehensive that's kind of blowing guys away on the site. And, there's so much content on there now. You could spend just days just getting through it, what's on there, and then to provide for them the office hours, a few hours a week, and different Q&As that we throw up there. And really the difference is the office hours are just drop in. You could be on there for 5 minutes, ask 3 questions, get off of there. You could be hanging on there for 2 hours, just hanging out, on their availability. The Q&A, which we've had a bigger turnout for within the group, within the Mafia community, is more guys on there. And that seems to have been more interactive. You and I have talked about, we can have once monthly themes or bi-weekly, nothing but trap, or nothing but power, nothing but sweep, themes or different things in practice, game planning, play calling, all those things, how to organize your staff, personnel, offensive personnel. It just goes on and on that, it goes back to, there's nothing wrong with the idea of throwing a couple of videos out there, but they really do leave guys hanging. They just give guys a small taste of it to provide this. And really, these are the things that were my 7 years at Liberty Hill, the first year at Blanco. This has been going a long time where we're getting multiple inquiries each off season, and to be able to get a unified thing here that guys can join and get so much more than just on one visit or on a Zoom call or getting a playbook, that kind of thing. We've got the blocking rules by position, every position. We've got that blocked against 3 or 4 defenses every single play, then it goes into the play. This thing is comprehensive, and it feels good for me to get it all in one place. Over the years, there's been so much, and it's neat to get it all in one place.
Yeah, no, it's a really organized learning experience in how it's put together, but it does go in different directions where you need it. And, the latest being what you've put together with the practice stuff. So just scrolling through it here for those guys who are watching this. And if you're not, you could see it on coachingcoordinator.com, put together the drills, right? Talking about the blocking progression. I really like this. You showed 2 different situations. You have Liberty Hill, where you guys did it for years.
Yes.
And, had a certain type of equipment that was perfect for it. And then this year taking over at Blanco, and you're one. And this is what it looks like. And hey, we didn't have the exact same sled as we did at Liberty Hill, but here's how we made do with it, right? Because that's kind of what you see is a lot of these guys coming to it the first year, or maybe they've dabbled in a little bit and didn't have all the answers. So I think those were very useful. You did that with the sled and the cage. You did some one-on-one drills. I love that one. Broke it off, talked about the backs timing, showed the trap drill, the sweep drill. You put together within there, what does a Wednesday practice look like, showing the team periods. And then in this one, we had coaching points for other things, the huddle breaks, such a big part of this. I've loved hearing you talk about those in Q&As, and then you put the video together with that too. And, here's how we get out in and out of the huddle very fast. I could say definitely a unique way of doing things with procedures and with tempo. A great example of carry out your fakes. You guys hadn't seen that one. It's just an incredible thing that it even happened on a field. And then you just took practice and you rolled through it. No voiceover, just let it roll. You guys could go back and forth as possible. And then some other things too. You had the fringe plays, kind of things that don't show up in the blocking rules or whatever. Your one-offs or things that, might be useful here and there. And then I really love this one is you had a great example. This is what outstanding offensive line play looks like. And I think this is just, the tip of the spear for doing more things like this, right? Like you said, hey, maybe there's a time where we just dig into the trap play or a sweep play or whatever it might be. So many different aspects of this that you can do that I think just work so well for coaches.
Yeah, Keith, if we'd have done this, if I'd have stayed at Liberty Hill, if Coach Walker hadn't have left and we're still there, this site could still be, fantastic. But to give them, you mentioned the sled right out of the gate there, to give them that drone footage of the Liberty Hill sled and to give them that drone footage of the Blanco sled, I think it really conceptualizes in guys' minds, because it's overwhelming to see Liberty Hill run it if you've never run it before. It's like you're thinking, how are we going to get our kids to do that, be anything like that? But, we had such great success this year in our first year at Blanco, going 10-3 and rushing for 5,300 yards. And you can still see the differences in, of course, and kids running it for 25 years, running it in the Little League from third grade up, just an institution of Slot-T at Liberty Hill for 25 years. And then here's a staff who gets the job in late May and everything is brand new. From day one, this is the 2-hole, this is the 4-hole, the most basic stuff you have to teach everything to these kids. So you take a comparison on the sled. Yeah, are the kids, Coach Lawson at Wascom saw it right away. I mean, we was talking about that yesterday. So, Coach, it's unbelievable. Those kids at Liberty Hill they hit their chest on the sled, after shot, and they just pop up back in that 4-point stance like, in a microsecond. They're all back, all 6 of them all down the line are all just locked and ready to go for the next rep. And, at Blanco, it wasn't, those kids aren't snapping up as fast. Well, there's 2 reasons for that. We got to get to there. They're getting up probably a lot quicker than most guys would imagine in their effort. But we were having tremendous center exchange issues. So we have a coach taking the snap from the center during that drill. It's getting fumbled around. The coach can't take a snap and things. So it's slowing it down slightly. You're just seeing issues that you would have in the first year as compared to 25 years of excellence. They're having the same issues at Liberty Hill back in 2000 when they put it in, of course. So it really gives a unique perspective that this late in my career, we went to a brand new place. You also get the difference, Keith, in a 5A school with 2,100 kids or 1,900 kids at their enrollment, and here at Blanco with 340 kids in the school, because that's another perspective coaches are looking for. They can't relate to a school with 2,000 kids if they've got 400 kids in their school, or vice versa. Are you 2-platooning? Are you not 2-platooning? There's all those factors. So that perspective of later in my career coming to a new place, I think, is so added to this site so much.
Yeah, you brought up the difference, between a school that's been doing it for 25 years and has the kids coming completely through the pipeline, learning the system, versus a school who's in year 1. Yet at the same time, I thought one of the interesting things you brought up is, and it's some of the questions we've had is, how's this going to work for my down the line part of the program? My junior high, my freshman team, my youth teams. And the point you made was they actually have more success with it in the beginning maybe than the varsity teams do.
Yes, 100%. Our JV this year went 9-0. One game was canceled. They had a 9 instead of a 10-game schedule. And that shocked me because, honestly, in our first 2 scrimmages, it was rough. And the 8th grade class coming up, I think, was 3-6 the year before. So they're freshmen this year on the JV, and the freshmen in a small school make up most of the JV. So for them to go from 3-6 to 9-0, and in the first 2 scrimmages, it looked like another 3-6. I was hoping for 3 wins, but I also had faith and confidence that it's such a rep-based offense. It's such a unique whole order of football as a system. Everywhere I've been, lower levels in the first year, because I've implemented this offense 4 or 5 different times in my career, either as a head coach or offensive coordinator, and had success at the varsity level for sure. Sweeney, they were 3-7 the year before. We went 8-4 in our first year. Mathis, my first head coaching job, they were 5-5 the year before, and we went 8-4 and 10-3 in the first 2 years. But the JV were even more impressive. At Mathis, we were 8-4, and our JV was 9-1. At Sweeney, I think our JV was 10-0 that first year. So if you get running that quick side 300 series alone really well at the lower levels, it can really get you going. And there's nothing like winning to energize your program. Our 7th and 8th graders had 1 loss between them this year. So as a program this year, we were 34-4 from 7th grade through varsity. The most losses was the varsity with 10-3, one being, playoff loss. Our homecoming game was against Yoakum, one of our losses, who won the state championship 1 level up from us. They're 3A Division 1, we were 3A Division 2. They won on 1 state. So, we had a great first year, and for those lower level guys to be going 9-0 and have 1 JV and 1 loss in the junior high, man, it's exciting.
Shot clocks, big shots, upsets, aces. TGL playoffs are here. First, Atlanta Drive starts their repeat run against Los Angeles Golf Club. Then, Rory's Boston Common Golf and Tiger's Jupiter Links face off in their playoff debuts. Who will advance? Keep up. It's playoffs. Tune in Tuesday, March 17th at 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. only on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I look at what you've talked about on the podcast, and I think you had some incredible guests. I mean, you had Bruce Bush, who's the godfather of the Slot-T. You had his son, Travis, who's now a head college coach. But you also then had one of your former players, Anna Thomas, who's at Army as a captain. And I think, boy, a lot of people today get enamored with, this is what I see on TV, so I got to run it. And then, you hear somebody like Andon talking about how this really prepared him to go play at the Division I level. And, it's about culture. It's about learning the game and, some other things I'll dig into. But, I thought that really came out through Andon about what this offense can do, not just for you on a Friday night, but kind of the mentality that goes with building a team culture and turning a program.
Yeah, those were some phenomenal guests. And you mentioned Travis, Coach Bush at UTRGV, going 9-3 in their inaugural season in Division I football and playing for his dad, the godfather of Slot-T, Bruce Bush, in high school at Gregory Portland down Corpus Christi on the coast. And he started off in, I think he said, junior high, and I think up to his freshman year, he was a tailback. And then coach's kid, he's so smart. And so they needed his leadership and his game savviness at quarterback. And I think his junior year, he rushed for 1,200 yards and threw for 1,200 yards. And they made the state semifinal. Those guests are so unique. These are the biggest names in the Slot-T in the sense of not just maybe winning head coaches, but Coach Bush for sure, the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, but guys that have played. Coach Travis Bush, his son, who went to become a Division I college coach. And of course, he's not running the Slot-T in Division I, but that respect he has for the Slot-T as a phenomenal high school offense. And I've got so many comments about Andon, what was his most memorable thing he said off season. I mean, I don't think many kids would say that, maybe memorable in a brutal, tough way, but he described how it made him, the man he is today. And being a one of two captains on the Army football team this year, those guests have been outstanding at really kind of showcasing or showing what a great high school offense it is and culture, like you said.
No doubt. And it's things, as you start digging into, well, what are the other things that we did around this, right? Because again, I could go buy an offensive video on whatever. I don't get the rest of the context. And it's been neat you've been able to share those things. I mean, just a clip you shared with, this is what the weight room looks like in off-season, basically too. A little bit late. You guys weren't there at this time last year, but understanding like, hey, there's more to this. There's a way we do it all year round that builds to it. And I think that's extremely helpful for coaches as well to see those kinds of things. And I pulled this one up on the weight room. It's in the discussion, just a clip you put in there. But also it shares one of the partner deals, and one of those is with Tully. You go to tully.app, our coaches could see it. But Tully is, one of our partners here at Coaching Coordinator Network. For the guys who are part of the Slot-T Mafia, they get use of this, when it started, when we opened it, it was 7 months, but still till August 1st, the off season, to really track the data of your players to help you understand how these guys are developing, could create competition. Really, it's something that's pretty flexible that you can use however you might want it. But, we have all kinds of these partner deals, over $4,000 worth of partner deals in the membership as well. So it's one of those things that you just get one of these. You get Tully for the offseason, it paid for itself.
Absolutely. And Keith, I'm so appreciative of you. That's something, I'm just doing the coaching end of it. And that is, in the Slot-T, that's my expertise. And beyond that, I couldn't ever do anything like this. You putting together that massive package that more than pays for the membership of the website. It has been in the marketing and things like that. It's been outstanding. I've had, again, the positive feedback to the comprehensiveness of the website. And again, it goes back to the community. Guys are loving the fact that it is a community. It's ongoing. It's not a video or two that I'm going to watch and have to rewatch and rewatch. There's tons of video footage on here and voiceovers and photographers and whiteboard like we talked about earlier, but the live ongoing stuff. And I'm at a place in my career, later in my career where I can afford more time and give these guys this time. So that's been pretty special. I'm really enjoying meeting these guys. It's been fantastic. I mean, it is definitely a community we've got going here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the relationship you and I have been able to form and just getting this thing together, but at the same time, just talking ball. talking all kinds of different, not just ball. You and I talk about, I think, all aspects of life. We talk about faith, we talk about family, all those things. So definitely have been appreciative of the work you've been putting into this. A lot of guys who get into this digital world, and you'll see kind of guys more on, they're the digital marketers. Oh, I'm going to throw up some videos. I'm going to set it and forget it, and that is not what this is. This is quote unquote passive income, right, is what people call it. You have not taken a passive approach to it, nor do I think that's how this really works for coaches. That, yeah, a content library is important, but it's all the other things that go into this that we're trying to build around this. And it's been a fun start to it, almost 30 members right now. I would love to see it grow because I think this is an offense. I think it's a system. I think your coaching is something that can help turn programs around. So I'm appreciative that you've given us this opportunity to promote it for you, but I'm excited about what you continue to do and the ideas that pop up. And we've been able to turn around, a lot of these pretty quick. So I can't encourage coaches enough to get out here and purchase it. It's a very simple URL to go to. It's slot-t.com, slot-t.com, just like people write it. Get there, check out what's available. We have, the Q&As throughout the month, the office hours nearly every week. So it's not like you're going to come in and not have the interaction. And hey, you can type something in the community. Paul could get on there. He can even share a video if he wants to address it that way. So all kinds of ways to learn. There's, like he said, there's days worth of content there and more coming, especially as we get into the next phase of this past spring ball of, all right, it's getting towards the season now. How do we call this? How do we adjust it? How do we look at breaking down an opponent? All those kinds of things. So I'm excited to hear that as well as we continue to progress in the Slot-T Mafia.
Yes, sir. It is such a detailed offense. I know when I learned it, started in 1998, I was just ate up with it. I was obsessed with it. It took, I'm not going to say I knew it all in 2 or 3 years, but to really know what I was doing, I was in it, I was running it. To not be in it, to not be coaching in it, it would be difficult to learn from a few videos. And this way, we're providing guys with all the, and eventually we talked about, I'm probably going to be doing some consultation work, going to schools and working with them in their spring ball or summer camps and all those kind of things, working with their kids and with the coaches and clinicking them up and things. So there's so much to this, and it's fun to be able to provide this for guys. And it's fun to see them, how incredibly appreciative they are, of all this site has to offer.
Yeah, it's been great. You've done a great job with it, Paul. I look forward to more, and we'll take a little bit of a pause here as you get into track season, but I'm sure you're going to be bringing back some guests on the Slot-T podcast as well.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All right, Paul, I talk to you all the time, but for our guests right now, you want more, Paul? Head over to slot-t.com and join the Mafia there. If you need installments for it, we've made that available as well, so it's a really easy way for you to get into it.
Thanks, Keith.
If this conversation sparks something for you, if you're curious about how the Slot-T actually works, how it's taught, or how it can fit your program, that's exactly what slot-t.com is built for. At slot-t.com, Coach Paul Kilby goes far beyond interviews and theory. He teaches the details of the offense, formations, motions, series structure, adjustments, and the decision-making that ties it all together. Not just what to run, but why it works and how to teach it clearly. Just as important, slot-t.com is a community. It's a place where coaches are sharing ideas, asking real questions, and evolving the offense together, learning from each other while staying rooted in the principles that have made the Slot-T successful for decades. If you're looking to build a clear offensive identity, teach with confidence, and be a part of a group that's moving the Slot-T forward the right way, head to slot-t.com and join the Slot-T Mafia.